Hey folks, we're back for High School Sports Talk Plus. It's the video show that's popping all around the country. You like that? Popping?
Popping.
We're
popping.
He is the popper.
Just like corn. We're popping.
He is the popper man, Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield, the guy who's always popping off at the mouth.
He's controversial. I'm not.
.com. Yeah, if you believe that, I got some land to sell you in
Virginia Beach.
Laramie, Wyoming. No, I don't have any land in Virginia Beach. I'm moving. Listen to us every Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon, whether I'm moving or staying, because I'm all over the place. So is he. But we like to keep it lively, entertaining, and hopping and popping on ESPN Radio 94.1's High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. And if you want us to come to your establishment and really get it popping, what you got to do is you got to send us a comment or an email or a note saying, hey, we want to be the title sponsor for High School Sports Talk Plus, the video show. We'll name it blank video show after your place, your business, your company. You get Ed Young, you get Matt Hatfield. What else could you want?
And we get you business too. Trust me, we will get you business.
So let's talk about some high school football around Hampton Roads, and even sprinkle a little bit on the state before we do our other video show and say toodaloo on this Saturday, the 8th of September. Ed, Warwick Hampton. I asked you last week, could the upset happen? And you said no. Hampton will win. They're the Crabbers. You can't crush a crab.
No chance.
Well, what you and I did not foresee happening was another coaching change for Hampton. Mike Smith sitting out with the VRS, Virginia Retirement Rule, until October the 4th when they play Menchfield. Danny Mitchell, the longtime Crabber baseball coach and football assistant, was taken over. Then on Thursday, we put out there, Danny Mitchell says, I'm stepping aside. And Kenny Gilliam, a former Crabbers player that went on to the University of Richmond and played for the Spiders before he became a Crabbers assistant coach, is now the man in charge, and they were leading the game at halftime, but Warwick came storming back to win it 16-7 over the Hampton Crabbers. Kudos to Corey Hairston. He said he wouldn't be surprised if they went 10-0 this year. We thought he was a little bit off his rocker, but right now, we'll eat the crow. We got it on a spoon. You have some crow, I'll have some crow. Warwick, the Wascally Waiters are 3-0.
3-0. They won all three they had, so if things go right, they're heading to 10-0, but let's just deal with the 3 wins right now. Well deserved, and that's a big win over Hampton. And you know, we did talk. You mentioned it here about the coaching change. I had picked Hampton. I thought about Warwick, and then you had mentioned that had we known after we did our picks before the coaching change that you might have switched yours to Warwick. I don't think I would have. I still would have stayed with Hampton because the game plan's already in. The coach. I didn't think the coach change would make that much of a difference. I still don't think it made that much of a difference in that game, but something did. But I'm going to say it's because Warwick is getting their stuff together, and they're having a year right now.
Well, the news didn't become public until Thursday when we put up there on VirginiaPreps.com. But during the week, did the kids was it a changing of the game plan? What was going on behind the scenes? And now Hampton's in a situation where they have Heritage next. They still got to play Phoebus and Woodside. And could we actually be talking about the playoffs in November and not be talking about Hampton making it? Is it? Are you ready to go that far yet, or do you think Mike Smith will come back and they'll right the ship?
No, I think, they got a tough one this week with Heritage coming up.
They can throw the ball.
Yeah, they can beat Heritage, but if they go down 0-2, it'd be a little bit of a wow. But I'm not putting the whole season on, 2. You go 0-3, maybe 0-4, then I'm like starting to really sweat. 0-1, 0-2, no. You still got a majority of the season go. 0-4 might be that cutoff.
Well, and this was a 16-7 final score in favor of Warwick, but the stats say this was a domination. Only the third time Warwick has beaten Hampton since 1965, 2009, 2018, and 1965. But in terms of total yardage, Ed, listen to this. Warwick outgained Hampton 334-93.
Yeah, that's
a lot of yards, just 32 yards in the second half for Hampton.
Usually that's completely the other way around. Hampton pounding people with their defense. So that's a change. That's a big change.
That great linebacker, we mentioned him in the preseason, Davon Meade, the two-way standout, running the ball, playing linebacker, had 2 touchdown runs in the second half. He could very well be the guy that we're talking about in that Player of the Year conversation. We didn't really highlight him hard, but Meade is looking like a guy on a team that there's no marquee stud. There really isn't a marquee college prospect that's getting a boatload of offers in the peninsula this year, unlike some past years when you think of names such as Tyrod Taylor and Taj Boyd and Daz Newsome and Dion Newsome and all those names, and Ricky Walker, who's playing D-tackle now for Virginia Tech out of Bethel, doing it great. There's not that marquee hallmark name. Maybe Meade's right now playing like the best player in the district.
Yeah, and the thing about Warwick's winning, it's a nice way to do it. It's team. It's total team. They're not relying on a great passer, great runner, or one great defender who can really stop people. It's a team thing. That's the way to do it.
Well, and they're looking like Coach of the Year there. Corey Hairston is. He's a surprise story through 3 games, sort of like what Andre Twine did, resurrecting Deep Creek last year. Speaking of surprises, Churchland was that for 2 weeks, and you said on the video show, watch out for Norview, folks. They can beat Churchland. You didn't have the guts. You didn't have the chutzpah to pick it. I took Churchland in overtime. I listened to you a little bit. Well, Norview gets 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. Kate Turnell, the freshman, runs for 100 yards. Marquise Dietz makes some plays at quarterback, and Norview puts up a good number of points on a Churchland defense that had not given up any. They win it 39-24 over the Truckers.
Yeah, they're a young team. That's the only thing against them this year, was basically a younger team. We didn't say they're not any good. They're just a younger team. And a game like this, get another one under their belt like this, they can go right up there with all the top teams. I really believe that, because they have the athletes. They're just young.
They were young last year, too. They changed coaches from Dalton Cotton to Reggie Chavis. And, oh, by the way, I mentioned Norview because guess who their last game is against? Regular season finale. Do you know?
Do I know? I should know.
Hampton.
Hampton.
An out-of-district matchup November 2nd. They upset Hampton last year at Darling Stadium. That game should have playoff implications. Two teams kind of young, finding themselves trying to get in the postseason, and it could shake up some seeds there as we get to.
Of course, we got a long way to go and see how these 2 teams go with Hampton. Of course, Mike Smith will be back by then, long back by then, so it'll be interesting to see, but that's much later.
We love to talk about a little bit of the state. We're going to get back to the Hampton Roads games to watch for next week, but I want to touch on 2 things statewide here. We got a little bit of time here. Dinwiddie-Salem was the game of the week. We both looked at it, and you took Dinwiddie close. I took Dinwiddie close. They won it 27-20 over Salem in a game where Salem had 7 turnovers. Depends if you count one as a fumble or not. With a backup quarterback on the road, are you more encouraged with 2 linemen out, backup quarterback on the road, to only lose by that margin to Dinwiddie if you're Coach Stephen Magenbauer and Salem, the 3-time champs?
Yeah, you got to take that. Losing one of those guys makes it tough. Then to go to 2, now you're talking 3. And I get nervous. I don't coach football, but I'd be really nervous when my top linemen are out, because that's the hardest place to replace players in any of the football levels, but especially high school, is that line.
A lot of penalties, a lot of turnovers. It was a sloppy game. I think a very competitive, hard-hitting game, as I said on the radio show this morning, between Dinwiddie and Salem. But I would be wondering, too, with the way Class 4 is looking. 2 years ago, they played in the state championship game, Ed, and they traded scores late. Salem won it. Last year, Dinwiddie got beat by Louisa, and then Dinwiddie beat Louisa in the state final after Louisa beat Lafayette in the state semis. There's a lot of good teams. Sharando's got a great team. Hunter Ensminger, the quarterback, grandson of Mark Mosley, the ex-Redskins kicker. Lake Taylor, Lafayette, Jefferson Forest. We had a call on the radio show about them beating GW Danville and how good they're doing with that wishbone option style of attack on offense. There's a lot of teams in Class 4 that are contenders. I'm not sure Dinwiddie and Salem can play that way and get there at the end. I think now when you start to win like this and you replace some guys, you have some injuries, that target gets bigger, that bullseye gets bigger, and the expectations start to become pressure as opposed to we're used to this.
Right, that's the whole thing. That's why, being in the playoffs means a lot. We've been through this. We know each step of the way. We know how to prepare, as opposed to a team that's winning. I'll step back a little bit. We talk about Warwick's 3-0, great start. I start thinking each game coming up that they stay undefeated is a lot more pressure, because they haven't been through this. So do they know how to handle it? Because if you don't, then them losses can start coming quickly, because all of a sudden you start doubting yourself and pointing fingers or whatever. Right now everybody feels good, but you just got to keep staying on track of what you're doing.
We did our Around Virginia video show that I do on VirginiaPreps.com before every game on the website. We do that where I break down a bunch of games, and you've seen that before. And we touched on EC Glass making some surprises with one of their running backs and their quarterback, Drayshawn Kendrick, and doing some great things. I'm going to give you another name to watch out for around the state. It's our state player of the week. Gabe Pfizer at Grundy High School, single A school, Class 1. He's 5'9", 165 pounds, maybe 162 soaking wet. Point of the matter is, this running back ran for 337 yards on 19 carries as the Grundy Golden Wave beat Lebanon 43-14. The week before, he ran for a single-game school record of 336 yards at that level, Class 1, Class 2. How far can a player like Pfizer take a team, even though Riverheads is back-to-back defending state champ? They're strong, they're tough, they're physical, they'll hit you, they're disciplined, they're fundamental, coached well by Robert Casto. How far can a kid like that, is a kid of that caliber more capable of taking his team on his back than at the Class 6, Class 5 level in your eyes?
I don't really put a lot of what level it is. It's how good the kid is. Now, he's not a big one. He's a small guy. He's a fly. That would concern me about wearing down possibly, because he's getting a lot of touches, he's getting a lot of yards, and he's going to get a whole lot of attention. as these teams that coming up are going to put people up in the box. They're going to put people knowing because you're going to go to him. It's working. He's 300 yards a game. You're going to go to him. That's what would concern me. You're going to have other things around him. Him being a runner, of course, I'm prejudiced towards throwing. Do you have a throw game? Is there a passing game there where that if they take that run away, you can still move the ball down the field with maybe some passes?
57 yards passing for Derek Endicott. I'm just curious. I think especially at the Class 2, Class 1 level, we saw it in basketball with Mac McClung at Gate City. A player like that can put a community and a team sort of on his back, and it starts to become a story, and it gets everybody fired up and going.
That can, but I'm not so sure that alone wins you the games. You can have that marquee kid. We just talked about Warwick winning without a marquee player. And, of course, this team has a marquee player averaging over 300 yards a game. So, obviously, he's drawn all the attention. That's why you need those other people. And then in football, of course, now that's an offensive guy. What are they doing on defense? Are their defense strong enough to hold people down, too? Because if you're getting a lot of yards and scoring, you got to make sure you stop that.
Well, you make an interesting point, especially at the lower levels because of depth and enrollment numbers. Some of those players have to go both ways. So
That's
he could be
about
able to play
down.
tackles and, Grundy was a team that was just outside our top 10 preseason, but they're looking to make some noise now. 2-1 on the year, and you know what? They got Honaker in their next game, which is a Black Diamond district rival. They have them after the bye week, so I'll be curious. I'll be really fascinated to see how many yards Mr. Pfizer gets against the Tigers of Honaker, or as he says, Honaker. We got to get that clarified. Honaker, something like that. We should know this by now.
We should know.
We should know by now. Let's look at next week's games and then go to our end of the show moments. 4 games we're going to put on our HS Sports Talk 941 poll as the game of the week. We're going to let you, the fans, decide it. Maybe it'll decide where Matt Hatfield goes next week, because I sat home and watched some games on computers.
I'd like to tell him where he can go.
You're a funny guy. Aren't you a stinker? All right. Beach District, you have Salem and Ocean Lakes. At Ocean Lakes, the Dolphins' house. We'll see if the Salem Sun Devils can make them swim upstream. In the Eastern District, you have Maury and Lake Taylor. Hank Sawyer against a former player of his, an all-state linebacker, and Mike Privet as the defensive coordinator. Maury, they have freedom today before we finish taping this, so we don't know if they'll be undefeated or not. Maury is, and playing really well. Off that comeback against Nansemond River, they beat Princess Anne with a shutout, 25-0. Southeastern, no marquee game, so we'll skip them. Sorry. You'll be doing the gate for Nansemond Lakeland. People can wave at you and throw peanuts and eggs and whatever else they want to throw at you.
Peanuts, but not eggs.
Balloons. Yeah, eggs might hurt a little more than peanuts, right? Peninsula District, Woodside, and Phoebus on Thursday night. So I can see 2 games. That's at John B. Todd Stadium.
And that's the game to see.
And you get the great sounds of Bill Nettles in the press box, which is always a hoot. And in the Bay Rivers District, Lafayette and War Hill. The Rumblin' Rams. See what I did there? A lot of R's.
Not ours.
Take on War Hill. Thad Whitler's Lions. Thad Whitler once was a Lafayette guy. War Hill's got Noah Holmes, who is the Gabe Pfizer of the Bay Rivers District, dominating. He had 8 sacks against Heritage that first game. We talked about how great he is. He's got the locks. If you see the golden locks, you love him. Looks like the surfer kid, but he is a tough son of a gun of a football player. He is a good one now. Now, can he do it alone to beat Lafayette? And War Hill has some other good players, so we don't want to slight the rest of the team. They got other pieces, but he's obviously the focus blocking-wise and defending him if you're playing the Lions. And they run a little bit of a wishbone-style offense, Thaddeus has been known to. So what's the game you like most? Lafayette War Hill, Maury Lake Taylor, Salem Ocean Lakes, Phoebus Woodside. Give us your pick.
Phoebus Woodside, but since it's Thursday, I'm picking 2. I'll pick that one on a Thursday because you can go see it. And then next night, Friday night, go see Lafayette War Hill.
Wow, so you sleep on the south side. You're going across the tunnel.
I'm not going to sleep on it, but I'm going across the tunnel for both these.
You'll sleep on a mattress, right?
That's the best place to be.
All right. You got a pillow or 2 pillows?
I got 4.
4? All right. I'm going to leave that alone.
I got 4.
I like Maury Lake Taylor provided Lake Taylor wins. I don't think, and I'm going to make everybody at Salem mad at me if they're scared against First Colonial. And I do have Kalen Black as the preseason Beach Player of the Year. 1, because he took Tavion Robinson from Cox, and 2, because I think he is perhaps the best running back in Hampton Roads, everywhere, all 5 districts. I just don't know if they have enough diversity on offense. 19 against PA, 13 against FC, they hold on for dear life, to beat an Ocean Lakes. Whereas Cox, with Tavion Robinson, Leno Lester, Jackson Morgan, they got sort of a 3-pronged attack, and stopping Robinson is a lot harder than Black because he can throw it, catch it, or run it, and you got a bruising fullback, a running back, and catch it out of the backfield and run it. I think they're more equipped to beat Ocean Lakes. Not to say Ocean Lakes will lose to either one of them. I'm not so sure the Salem Ocean Lakes game will be as great a game as it's billed to be.
Right. I think Ocean Lakes is 5 steps ahead of Salem right now.
Ooh.
But with that being said, I said it on the air today, 94.1 ESPN Radio, 94.1 High School Sports Talk, Saturday mornings, 10 to 12.
They got
Get
that.
us. I do say when that beach plays each other, especially those top 5 or 6 teams, it's almost forget the record. It's who shows up for that game. Doesn't even matter what happened the whole week in practice for the most part. It's what's going to happen on that field with those teams. Some of them are that close.
Well, we were talking last week about maybe minor disappointments or slight surprises on the not-so-positive side with Bayside and Norcom. Bayside got back in the win column by beating Green Run, 23-0 in a shutout. They got the ball more to Cameron LeBourne, which was a good strategy. You're also using Tajay Pollard, DeJon Bowman, and some others there, and the defense played great there after giving up 70 points the first 2 weeks to the likes of Cox and Lansdowne, 2 of the upper-tier teams in the beach. Their schedule gets easier. Norcom losing to Booker T. Washington by a count of 31-28 in a game where they had the lead late. Rodney Hammond runs for close to 180, 190 yards. Got him on track for Booker T. And maybe as we're looking at Norcom 0-3, what in the world? Maybe Booker T's a team we got to watch out for in Class 3, where they led Phoebus for a half last year in their first-round playoff game, the 1-8 matchup. They were young. Maybe Booker T could be a sneaky team in the Eastern District.
Could be. I'm really surprised that Norcom lost. I would say 90% chance that's a Norcom win. And definitely giving up 31 points? No.
Well, the defense is something they got to fix up. They've given up 80 points the last 2 weeks, and that was their calling card last year was defense, hitting people. It was a 7-6 game last year. It was a low-scoring game. It was close for Booker T. So, again, we talk about young kids. Now you're a year older. We mentioned this on the radio show with Jefferson Forrest. We mentioned it with Lake Taylor. So when those kids grow up and they start to get a mindset of winning, things can change in a hurry over there.
Absolutely. It definitely, as you prepare, number one, you got to be skilled. But if your mindset is positive in terms of then you got to go out and execute, then you put yourself in a chance to win any game, any sport.
Well, we're going to let Ed Young take a nap because he's a tired guy. He's got 4 pillows, and he needs his rest. He's going to be hitting the dance floor on Saturday night.
No, I just have the idea of 4 pillows. Each pillow has a different thickness to it, so it depends on what mood I am to sleep. That's why I have 4 different pillows of thickness. If you don't have the right pillow, you will not get good rest. People always attribute to the mattress, and it is true. But them pillows with your head got to be straight.
Hey, play the predictions contest. It's free on MatthewHatfield.com via VirginiaPreps.com. Nobody's beating us. We had someone tied with us after the first week. Nobody's beating us, but we have to give a quick shout out to the 3 folks out of the hundreds that play this. A lot of people. 3 folks that had it right. Jeff Maynard, Melissa Hauser, and Brody Doolin, son of Pat Doolin. Kudos to all 3 of you. You had Warwick beating Hampton. Nobody else did. Chance to beat us. You can win a prize. You can win a gift card. End of the year, you're going to get Smackaroonies, a Benjamin Franklin, if you can beat us for the year.
Wait a minute, when you say Smackaroonies, the kids will think they're going to get hit.
No. You get a Benjamin Franklin, a green Benjamin Franklin that you can use.
They don't know who Ben Franklin is.
Well, ask your mom and your dad or your uncle or your aunt or your cousin or your brother or whoever. Ask your next door neighbor, and he or she will tell you. You get a Benjamin Franklin if you can beat us for the year. Now, if you've missed a week or 2, it's okay. You have to play, of the playoffs included, the 15 weeks, at least 8 weeks. That's our requirement. So you got to play at least half the season to be eligible for the grand prize, and we're going to give out weekly prizes if you go undefeated. So play it at MatthewHatfield.com. We have high school, college pro picks, and it's a lot of fun. Doesn't cost you a dime.
It costs you a dime. You get a chance to win some dimes. So give it a shout. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm picking. You should easily beat me.
No, he's not that hard to beat. Listen every Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon, High School Sports Talk, as he said, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We'll talk to you later on in September. Enjoy your football weekend. Ed Young sure will, and maybe I will if the Cardinals beat the Redskins. See you later.
Won't happen.
Will too.